decided to go into the luxury car business. They began working on a new vehicle together, and by 1926, Bugatti's first luxury car, the Type 41 Bugatti Royale, came into existence. The Type 41 was the product of Ettore's brilliance, as well as his technical mastery that extended across the automotive development and beyond. At the time, it was the longest and most luxurious car ever made in the world. Bugatti was highly selective of his clients for the Type 41, and only the most distinguished customers of the era were allowed to buy the car, including kings and aristocratic gentlemen. And that is why the Type 41 became known as the Bugatti Royale. While the launch of the Bugatti Royale brought Bugatti to wider prominence, a massive change in the world's economy would soon threaten to bring Ettore's company to its knees. Three years after the launch of the Royale, America faced its Great Depression. This economic decline greatly affected other economies in the world, and the sales of the once successful Royale came tumbling down. The company's finances were severely hurt, so much so that they nearly went bankrupt. During the mid-1930s, the French government contacted Bugatti to design and manufacture railcars at its plants. With no other choice and his company at the brink of bankruptcy, Bugatti accepted the offer. He helped the French government design 80 successful Bugatti railcars, which helped him overcome the Great Depression and save his company from bankruptcy. But just when things were beginning to look better for Bugatti, there was a strike at the Bugatti plant in Molsheim, France. The workers demanded higher wages and better working conditions. Initially, Ettore refused, but eventually, he relented and gave in to their demands. This created a gap of distrust between Ettore and his workers, and the issue was never fully reconciled. Over the years, Ettore Bugatti established his name around the world as one of the greatest mechanical designers of his time, building boats, plane engines, and speed trains capable of running over 100 miles per hour. Ettore also found a magnificent sidekick in the talents of his son, Jean. Jean was a passionate engineer and just as brilliant as his father. Ettore left Jean in charge of the Bugatti plant, and thanks to Jean's ingenuity, new Bugatti models were created that fascinated the entire world. Models such as the famous Atlantic, the majestic Royale, and the Type 57, which competed in and won the 24 Hours of Le Mans in 1937 and 1939. He was a father's dream and the perfect successor to Ettore. At the time, everything was going great for Bugatti, but a single moment can change the course of your entire life. And that's exactly what happened to Ettore. In June of 1939, Bugatti had just won the Le Mans for the second time in 4 years with the Type 57 tank. 2 months later, Jean Bugatti organized a road test with the car, placing himself behind the wheel as he had done many times before, when suddenly, a mysterious cyclist came out of nowhere. In an attempt to avoid the cyclist, Jean jerked the vehicle aside and crashed into a tree, where he died on the spot. Ettore broke down in tears after hearing the news. His younger brother Rembrandt had committed suicide years back during the First World War, and now he had also lost his favorite boy, his perfect son. Things went from bad to worse when the German army invaded Alsace and took over Bugatti's plants just 3 weeks after he lost Jean. Ettore had in fact anticipated the threat and quickly transported much of the machinery to Bordeaux. But it wasn't enough. The Germans found him and demanded that he cooperate by producing torpedoes and cars for the German army, but he refused. Ettore had also run into a lot of debt by that point, and so he reluctantly agreed to sell the company and the machinery for a sum that was less than 50% of its value. Bugatti fled with his family to Paris and tried to put his pain behind him by designing aviation engines and torpedo boats. But none of them worked out. Although Bugatti spent most of his life in France, he was Italian and never sought French citizenship, so when the war came to an end, the French state did not support him. And because Italy had been allied with the Germans, Ettore was accused of collaborating with the German occupiers. After the war ended, he attempted to get his company back and decided to sue the state, but lost. Things got even worse when in 1944, Ettores' wife Barbara passed away. He was now at the lowest point in his life. He visited Molsheim one last time, only to see his factory in ruins and his mansion abandoned. By now, his health quickly began to deteriorate. Still, he didn't give up. Ettore applied for French citizenship in an effort to get back what was rightfully his. Then, in 1947, and at the age of 66, Ettore's health went from bad to worse. By now, he contracted a lung disease and had suffered a nasty stroke. During this period, his company was eventually restored, and Ettore's possessions were finally returned to him. But the good news came too late for Ettore, as he had suffered a complete paralysis of his mental faculties, and his condition was only worsening. Only 10 days later, after the recovery of his company, Ettore Bugatti passed away. The surviving members of his family were unable to run the production of his cars, and as a result, the Bugatti plant had to shut down and was left abandoned for many years. The Bugatti company didn't produce anything new until its rebirth in the 1980s. An Italian entrepreneur by the name of Romano Artioli acquired the company in 1987 and re-established the Bugatti brand to the world. 5 years later, a completely new model, the Bugatti EB110, was introduced to the public. This new car was capable of reaching top speeds of 213 miles per hour, and the car quickly became a phenomenon. The power and extravagant appearance of the car made a nice impression on people around the world, but sadly, only 139 units were ever built before Bugatti went bankrupt due to mismanagement in 1995. It wasn't until Volkswagen came in and acquired the Bugatti brand in 1998 that we were reintroduced to the supercar brand we know today. The new company teased several concept cars at various motor shows in the late 90s, then fell quiet for the next few years as they developed a new car. In 2005, the Bugatti Veyron was released to the public and became one of the hottest cars in the world, breaking the world record as the fastest road-going production car ever built, reaching a top speed of 254 miles per hour. The Veyron continued on until 2015, when it was replaced by the Bugatti Chiron, another supercar phenomenon. In 2019, the company broke the record again with its Bugatti Chiron as the new fastest road-going production car at an incredible 305 miles per hour. This is the story of Bugatti and the dream of a man that continues to live on decades after his tragic death. Don't forget to like and subscribe and click that notification bell. Thank you guys for watching, and until then, I'll see you in the next one.